Thank you for tuning in to Real Estate with Ryan. This is Ryan Coleman. I'm your host as always, along with my lovely co-host, which has not been here for a little while. We've been missing you.
I know. I'm finally back.
She's finally back. April Coleman. How are
Barely.
you doing? Glad to be
Hanging
with us.
in there.
I almost had to think about how I was going to open the show.
I know.
So much going on.
You missed me.
I used to have him
I know.
partner
I
in
haven't
crime
been here.
here.
I feel like it's been months.
Oh, wow. Are you guys having these problems? I mean, what's been going on?
I know. This weather has put me down. I am so over it. First it was the flu, and then apparently the flu got my immune system all crazy, and then I ended up with bronchitis and sinus infection.
Sinuses, allergies.
Yes.
You know, good old East Tennessee, we have a lot of those problems here. And just the weather going from 32 degrees at one point, and the next minute it's 70 degrees.
It's crazy.
April and I were just chatting about that. It's like, wow. And we're going to have a good show for you guys, and thank you for tuning in. If you guys are tuning in for the first time, I'm Ryan Coleman, the host, obviously, with my boss, April Coleman. So glad to enjoy you guys joining us here on the radio.
You got it.
If you're following us on social media, thank you guys. We got a good show for you, and kind of talking about the season, kind of talk about the market, and obviously we talked about what's going on in the weather and all the stuff that we've been going on. But we're going to tie that into, as we approach, basically the end of March is already over.
Right.
Spring market is officially upon us, and so we're going to talk about some numbers. We'll give a housing market update, what we're going through the first quarter of the year, what we expect first, second quarter.
Right.
And
what we've seen.
Yeah, what do you see going on in the marketplace? And maybe what does that mean for sellers? What does that mean for buyers? What do you need to do?
Exactly.
Is it up? Is it down? You know,
Is it going around?
Who knows what's going on? You listen to Real Estate with Ryan, so we're going to talk about all that good stuff.
I know.
Always got some good housekeeping issues. Let me know what else is going on in your life other than that.
I know.
Anything new? I mean, we've been busy. I know I've been busy over here.
Yes. Poor thing. He's been holding the fort down.
Holding the fort down.
Yeah.
We've been working really, really hard. My team's been hard at work, and everybody's really pitched in since you've been gone. So,
I know they have. They've been
glad
such
to have
troopers.
you back.
I'm glad to be back.
What do you think? Since you had a little break, little stay vacation.
That's what he calls it.
I
Is
call
a break.
stay vacation.
I'm suffering at home, and he's like, "You get a break."
No break?
No.
And then it was wild, and we'll get into the show. But so then after she was feeling a little bit better, then we get this notice. We think everybody's over with the flu. So then we get our daycare, and then they said, well, by the way, we've got 26 kids sick,
Yes.
and then 3 staff members are sick, and they all got the flu. And it's like, what do you do?
Yep.
And we said, well, that's the power of being self-employed.
That's true.
Yeah, and so we were talking about that yesterday, and just the power of having the opportunity to do that and flexibility on that. And
So she stayed home with me while I was sick. She took care of me, is what I tell her. Take care of mom and dad.
Nobody cares about what we got going on.
I know.
I know.
Well, you never know.
They might care. Good. So it was a busy week. We were on the news last week on Channel 6 with Aaron and Opie.
Yeah,
Had a great opportunity to talk about the spring market. Last show we talked about the spring market when Justin was on here with us.
Yes.
So we went over some tips on that. And so we want to follow that up with some data, kind of what's going on in the market. The new housing market just came out, and we're talking about that across the country. This was a good tool that I didn't know we had. So if you guys are familiar with real estate, or you guys are in real estate, you know we have these things called lock boxes, and we put them on the door. And there's secured access in several different boxes across the country. But we have a housing economist. Is that right? Housing economist, chief economist. I can't pronounce.
Sounds
it.
fancy.
Yeah, I can't pronounce his last name. But anyway, he was in there talking about. Did you know they actually track data across the country from our lock boxes? So they've got real fancy with these high tech lock boxes, and so they can shoot data like kind of like your TV remote. It shoots a beam or a stream, and it records a lot of data. But he said what we did is he says it's soft data. So soft data that they were using, that we're seeing buyer activity across the country moving up, more showings, more increased showings. Now, does that mean there's more sales? I don't know. But he's seen a lot more activity since the feds have kind of made an adjustments in the rates.
Interesting.
So I thought that was I didn't hear that. I've never heard of that before.
No.
Kind of a useful tip that they're using across the country. Now, before we get going, I know you got some housekeeping issues. We're going to talk about some congratulations, some new listings.
Yes.
And some sales. Some congrats.
Yeah, you got it. Okay, so first I'll go over some new listings because I know you all want to know what's coming or what's on the market and what's coming on the market. 3838 Maloney Road is out in 37920. It is a gorgeous home that is right on the lake. They have it's just gorgeous. It's an open floor plan, beautiful house. You must see. 138 Center Park Lane in Oak Ridge. It's also another gorgeous home. Huge, beautiful. Check it out. And then we just hit the market on 217 to Motley. That is in Tellico Village. You all know Tellico Village out in Loudon.
Very popular.
Very popular, yes. Great home there. 13,000 Peach View Drive in Farragut. And then 3875 River Road in Loudon. Just hit the market. Now coming soon is 11008 Crosswind Drive in Farragut, 433 Blackberry Lane in Dandridge, 622 Crippled Mule Point in Foxton, and then 3636 Taluna Way.
Cute little condo that we're going to put in the market at the end of the week, so that won't be there long, will it?
Nope. So if you're looking for a condo out that way in 37919, then
Sequoia area,
call us ASAP. All right, congrats for some pendings. Peterson Road, Windy Meadows, Wayside, and the purchase of their home, and then Dry Fork Valley Road. So those are our congrats for contracts.
Congrats. A lot going on, a lot of activity. I want to go into some of these sales, and we'll get into some numbers and kind of things that kind of jumped out at me before we kind of get to the break. We've got a little bit of time, so we'll give you the data.
Yes, and I've got a lot of data too.
A little analytics here for the South region. So our lower end product, and we were talking about that a little bit before we went on the show, we talked about the inventory. I think the biggest thing that we're seeing the economists talking about is that lower end level, your 170, 175 and under, how much that product is not here in the marketplace. Mm-hmm. And we also heard some of the tract builders and builders across the country, they're recognizing that, and some of the builders that are building in large surplus, that they're recognizing that and that there's an opportunity in that space to produce that product in a fairly absent market. That market, if you're at the 0 to 100,000 in the South region, is down 10%. From 100 to 250, it's up 2.5. And I think a lot of those sales are tilted towards your 200 and plus.
That's interesting.
And of course, we go across 500 to 700,000. We're up about 4.5%. And our million plus estate sales were up about 8.4.
Oh, wow.
Existing sales, which is a good thing.
Oh,
so
wow.
You're seeing a little bit of a flood of that. Now you go existing home sales by the region. Where all the sales happening? The South. It's good to be in the South.
It is good. A lot of relocation.
It's good to be a Vol, good to be in the South. I mean, hey,
I know.
It's a good opportunity.
It is.
Well, you Southerners. you guys down there South. What's wrong with it? Hey, so the South is holding it down at 43% existing home sales across the country. We got the Midwest at 23% coming in a second. We got the West Coast here at 21%. Then the Northeast at 13%.
Interesting.
And this is brought to you by the National Association of Realtors, our good friends over there, giving us that data.
Yes, I heard that we have a buyer that wants to relocate from the Northeast region to Pigeon Forge, and they said taxes are outrageous up there, and that's why they want to move.
We're getting a lot of people from up north and Northeast, and just the taxes are just it's eventually they're listed. I've had enough. Had enough. We're packing up. We're relocating. That's what's so attractive about Tennessee and East Tennessee. No state taxes, great opportunities, one of the best places to retire, and so on and so on.
So many relocations.
So let's go to sales by price range. Everybody wants to know that where the buyers come in. 35% are coming in that 250 to 500 range. Lower level 100 to 250, we got 40% of the sales. That's almost 75-80% of the market. And of course, let's go our luxury at 1 million represents 3% of the market. 0 to 100,000 is about 10%.
Low.
Your 750, kind of that move up buyer, maybe the third home. 750 to 1 million is about 3%. And then your kind of move up buyer, I'd say 4 to 700 is about 9% of the market.
Okay.
So that's kind of a breakdown.
That is. That's interesting.
What do you think? Have you went over the price ranges in the market as far as a year ago comparison? You want to talk about that, or
not the price ranges? I have not done that. I'll go.
Well, the percent of change, I think what you see is what is most important is we're down about 6.5, 6.4 from a year ago.
In what range?
And so this is $1 million plus.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's up, yet it's down from last year.
So,
okay.
But then we could go to the 750 and $1 million mark. We're down 0.8, so not much.
Okay.
And then we go 250 to 500, we're up 4%. And then 500 to 750, we're up 2.9. And then, of course, our poor, lonely little
zero
to 100,000. I guess things are just so expensive as we're coming in the break. Down 10%.
I know, that's crazy. I just don't think that there's that inventory.
So
that's
you guys,
my thought.
Stay with us on the break. We got more housing data for the East Tennessee and the Knoxville market here in a few minutes. Stay with us.
When it comes to the real estate market, turn to the experts that focus on you. With over 20 years experience, Ryan Coleman with Hometown Realty knows what it takes. It's the right marketing. It's the right exposure. Ryan and April will use their expertise each step as they guide you through the home buying and selling process. Ultimately, it's about results.
You need someone you can trust that is committed to you.
You have a lot of choices, but the choice is simple. It's Hometown Realty.
Is it time for a new place? Ryan Coleman with Hometown Realty has the experience to sell your home quickly and help you find the right home for you. And if he can't sell it right away, he will buy it himself. Life changes, and sometimes your home needs do too. Buying or selling, turn to someone you know you can trust. Ryan Coleman at Hometown Realty.
Well, welcome back to Real Estate with Ryan. April and I were talking about the housing market as we're ending March, first quarter officially down in the books. Yep, it's hard to believe. First quarter of 2019. Has it been that quick?
It has.
You've been gone half the year.
I've been gone half the year, so it's been gone real quick for me.
It just seems like this year's flying like every other year. And we're talking about the housing stats and what we need to do to Ali position kind of your home if you're selling, or what to expect as a buyer with the inventory that we're facing and kind of some of the challenges that we've got there.
Exactly.
So what does the market say? What do the numbers say for sales and year-over-year comparison, April?
So we went over all of the statistics for overall across the whole country. And so I'm going to kind of go into our local market here and just break down a few different counties that I pulled. And we're going to go from sold listings and new listings as a comparative from last year to this year. So we'll start with Knox County. Let's go with the new listings that hit the market. So this is for January, February, and March. So it looks like for January of last year, this is Knox County, we went from 679 that hit the market to 655. Then February, we went from 724 to 659. March so far, last year it was 905. This year it's 723. So we only have a week to bump it up for about 150 listings to get, compared to
everything closes at the end of the month. So
this is new listings.
Oh,
this is new listings that hit the market. Oh, wow. So we'll see what happens.
You better get to work, April.
I know. Y'all better get to work out there and put your home on the market. So Anderson County, let's see. January, we went from 81 last year to 78 this year. February was 81 to 86. And then March was 103 to 105. So they're pretty comparable. Blount County, we went from January 185 to 175, February 200 to 201, and then March was 263 to 182.
Oh, wow. So
that's Blount County went down a lot. Loudoun County, January 83 to 93, went up. February 89, 89, exactly the same. But for March, 146 down to 87 for Loudoun County. So
that's strange.
I know. So they have a lot of new listings that have not hit the market. Now let's go over to solds and see kind of where we're at.
Okay.
So we can see that the inventory's kind of decreased. Sold listings for Knox County, January, 450 last year, 495 this year. So that's only, about a 45 increase. Let's go February, 524 last year, 426 this year. That's down 11.
Okay.
631 last year I can't read my handwriting, 389 so far. That's down 38. or 389. Sorry, 689. So we're down just a little bit. Then let's go over to Anderson County, which is January of last year, 54 sold, and then 64 sold this year.
Okay.
February, 61 sold compared to 67 sold. And then so far in March, 83 have sold last year compared to 53 this year. So we're down a little bit. See if that picks up at the end of the year or the end of the month. Blount County, January 127 down to 100 this year. February 149 down to 130. And then so far in March, 187 last year, 96 so far this year. So they've got about 48 to go to catch up for next year.
It's a lot of data.
I know. Don't you like it? I like it.
You're a number.
Loudoun County.
She's a numbers person.
Loudoun County. January last year, 49, and then 54 this year, up 5. February, 61 last year, 54 this year, down 11. 69 last year in March, and then 51 so far in this year. So they've got about 26 to go. So what do you think that looks like?
I don't know. I'm overwhelmed with all the numbers.
All those numbers, did you all process that?
Probably
To me,
half the audience is overwhelmed by the stats. What do you think?
It's showing to me that last year's market with solds looks better than this year so far. And the new inventory listing, I even went all the way back to 17. It's been trending going down. So we don't have as much that's coming on the market overall for every county. Anderson County seems to be doing the best so far.
Sure.
It seems like the hottest. And so they're doing well over there. But that's what it looks like. And I think that's kind of going into our topic that maybe the market's slowing down a little bit. And it's not as hot.
I think obviously that, real estate market comes in cycles. You guys understand if you watch the real estate market over the last 20 years, a 6-year cycle, I think we're coming into a 6-year, swing. And obviously we're coming into a presidential election. So that's always exciting, or midterm election.
Oh.
Yeah, so midterms.
Quick.
So all those things come into play. You watch the stock market, kind of see where that's going. I think the biggest thing that you have to watch for the housing market is what we watch, not so much the numbers, which some of those really definitely matter. I think the biggest thing is consumer confidence. So if we go back to 2008, 2010, 2012, in that market, what sparked the crash was not only just the increase of inventory, of course, of loss of jobs and the market values changing, but a lot of it was consumer news media driven, sometimes that it kind of enhanced where we were at. Almost kind of felt like it was a doom or gloom and the market was shutting down.
Right.
That's why I'm careful how much news I listen to. I mean, good stuff, but don't listen to too much of it. Because ultimately, buyers are going to buy and sell. And in the marketplace, we've talked about it plenty of times, if they have confidence. If they think that they're going to lose their job, or there's an issue of downsizing, or for whatever reason, we don't need to move up that much more space or downsize. If you're not in the market, they're not getting what they want on the resale market, they're just not going to sell. The other challenge is mortgage applications. I think we have that in here as well. Let me get that stat because I think that that's also important. We're talking about the housing data, kind of where mortgage applications are year over year. But let's talk about the housing inventory months of supply before I go into that. January was 4.4. February is 3.9. And what does that mean? Well, a normal housing market inventory supply is 6 months. That means active inventory. So if another home was never sold or actually never listed again, rewind. Can I do a rewind?
Sure.
Okay, rewind.
Right.
So if another listing was never put on the market, how many months would it take to sell the existing amount of inventory in the market? That is actually what our existing homes and our months of supply means. So in January, 4.4, February, 3.9. So a healthy market, 6 months. So our numbers are still way below that and really good. So I don't think it's anything to worry about there. Nationally across the area, across the whole U.S., is 3.5. So I think you're going to see some of this correction. Just a normal, we're getting off a market that has been abnormal, right? You were mentioning before we went on the break, we're saying every seller is expected to line up, either list it have 20 offers,
Yes.
10 people at the open house or whatever goes on, and sell the home.
Yes. Everybody's expecting multiple
Right.
offers.
Yep, everybody needs multiple offers. That's not the norm. I mean, I think
Right.
what we talked about and learned before prior, now buyers are coming back into the marketplace. They're getting a little more confidence. Now
Yes.
the rates are lower. They can afford a little bit larger home.
Right.
Sellers have to understand in this marketplace, though, that they have to be realistic.
Definitely.
The days of overpricing it by 25 grand, and we got it last year, that's the market's everything. And it's all about timing. And if you're in it to win it, then you win.
Yeah.
And then when the market change, you can't get last year prices here as we go to the first
Right.
quarter. I know we're seeing come across the board, we're seeing appraisal issues.
That is true.
And we just had 2 that came back for 25,000.
It's true.
So the
Less.
so the appraisers kind of get the cue from the lenders, and if they don't say that that's the case, it does. Fannie, Freddie, all those guys, they tighten down the appraisals. They're limiting the comps. They're restricting what you can use and what you can't use. Obviously an appraisal is just an estimation of opinion, but obviously if some of these loans are getting financing and they have to get financing, the contracts are usually contingent upon financing, can become a challenge.
Definitely.
And so it's everything that starts with your agent in that process to make sure that you don't leave any money on the table, but you don't overprice for the market. I do think, guys, as we kind of wind down the show, I don't think there's anything to worry about. I think the lack of inventory only means that if you're priced right, marketed right, you've got a great opportunity to sell in 2019. I do think these numbers are going to increase. I think around here we had a lot of flooding. The weather's been crazy, as you know.
It has been.
And so I think we're going to get a real big push here in the next 30 days. And I think some of these numbers, we'll reevaluate those in April.
That's true.
And
We'll have to
kinda
come back and do a
just
little,
come back and do a kind of an update on
not
that.
extensive like we did, but
But it was good.
just
It was
a little
good to cover those numbers for everybody that's thinking about selling and kind of update on the housing market, what we've got.
Definitely.
As always, we thank you guys for joining us. Real Estate with Ryan. If you need us, 693-SOLD. You can visit us at ryancoleman.org if you need anything. We thank you guys for following us on social media. You guys have an awesome weekend, and we'll see you back next week.
thank you.